Okay. The BOZ. Uh-huh. Look at the lineup though. I changed it a little bit. Okay. Go to the 4C. Go to the 2018. Go to the McGann. Jesse Z. Okay. There's a 1. The Lancer Evo, like you said. Now it's a Huracan. The C7 from supercharged to naturally aspirated now. So you can turbocharge some of these naturally aspirated. Okay. And the RH. Right. Okay. Both Lancer Evos. Uh-huh. Okay. Test car. Uh-huh. SLS. Okay. And the Huracan, like you said. Now my car, the BRZ, right? Yeah. And it's a big car for me, like it's got like a big wheelbase. Okay. So we're underdriving it. Uh-huh. Okay, there's the steering response. Uh-huh. That you don't have. Or the acceleration. So you have no control over this thing. But it's comfortable. It just... not for nothing, but... not like the Mustang. Like, it's surprising like the Mustang, but... it's unsafe. Okay. You at the very least have left and right. No, I do not. I end up with an injury. Okay. Now this is a good turbocharger because it feels good. Yeah. But it kills you way worse. Okay. You see? Oh, like the throttle and like the steering response is just like a hair's width of just always wrong. And then like just if it was like, you know, sanding or, you know, scraping my bones, and then look, or it just goes off the track out of nowhere because of the aspiration, by the way. Like it is, you know, drawing so much of the track, and you're driving the fuck out of this car. You're like scared of it, right? And it goes out like a bunch of times. You see what I just did then? Like the rear end, like that was a weird turn. Yeah. It's all over the place. But you can barely see it, and look what it just did. It's not supposed to do that. Not even... no. Look. I mean... damn. Still arguing for turbochargers, yeah. It's just on Earth, and then the temperature and the water and the ventilation, you would have to be like, okay, you know how there's supposed to be like a secret religious, you know, group of rich, you know, magical and technical people behind the weather, right? But we would have to just, you know, bubble and then like turbocharge the fuck out of this race or something, right? For this one time or whatever, right? But no, right? No. Foxhole. Right. And then you see? Yeah, no. No. No, 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 no. Don't do that. And it is so bad. Yeah, middle, like, it's like middling, and then like left to right middling. And then you don't have the downhill or the uphill or the left at all. No. No. I mean, you're shifting, like, you're upshifting and downshifting before anything. Right. Like, I'm not even at the apex or at the out on the turn. Like, I'm shifting before anything. Yeah, no. Even if you don't shift to take the turn, or like shift anywhere in the turn, like, you know what I mean? Yeah, no. And then you're screwed, like, whether you're like out and out even before, like, a left or right. No. You couldn't dull the response on the throttle, on the steering response, and then get me to argue that you still don't have an injury. And look, defensive driving the entire time, but because I was saving for it, basically. Yeah, no. It does this awesome thing though. The throttle for like the BR said, or you know, my driving time now, and it's just hilarious, obviously, because it's just so loud. It's so uncomfortable, or just it is a thing, like, you know, a ways off into the future, or like, I just have no idea. I'm inclined to just, you know, the game, and then take a class, or just like a course, or just like search for an interview or something about like this type of thing, like for the physics and like the right. Like, if you ever see a guy with like a white shirt and then like fancy pants, you'd be like, excuse me sir, I fell asleep one time and I had a dream that I was just like working at like a corporate company, like, you know, making things. Can I ask you a question? Uh-huh. That's fucked up. You have the Huracan and the Lancer in Route 4. Uh-huh. And then you could turbocharge some of the naturally aspirated. Uh-huh. Or supercharge the C7. Uh-huh. Okay. Isn't it like an easier drive? Yeah? Yeah. But you still have an injury. Uh-huh. It's just too much car. It's just more car than driver. No. Mm-hmm. And you're trying to see if you can like be less car than driver. Uh-huh. Jeez, no. It completely falls on its face, or it has no legs to stand on, or grounding just to plant its feet or nothing. Can it though? Okay. You can supercharge, and then you can turbocharge from an naturally aspirated, right? And you can four-wheel drive, and then you can mid-rear, and then you can front-rear, right? but you can't front and rear, what the fuck, right? Given all of that, the wheelbase power to weight distribution, the weight, and the aspiration, like, right. Amidst all of those, or somewhere, or somehow, it could work. It could just maybe, like, there is, like, it's not impossible. They're just trying to avoid the injury of the turbocharger and supercharger, right? Mainly because the shifting points aren't there, it hurts the transmission, and the wheelbase power to weight distribution gives away when the throttle has no brakes, and then it ruins the track. Okay.